Hello everybody, J.Yumeko here, and today we're here with Cinderella Phenomenon, Evermore. So, this game is the sequel to Cinderella Phenomenon. It is about the ever afters of our love stories. So, in the very first playthrough of the original game, we did Rod's route. In the second one, we did Karma's, and I haven't gotten really into playing any of the other guys' routes, but if you guys would like to see me do that, well then you can go ahead and tell me in the comment section below, and I will certainly go back and do that for you guys. But yeah, we're going to just jump right on into this. There's really not much more to be said about it. So yeah, I guess we will be going through Rod's route first in this one. After you've made a choice, watch out for the right choice indicator, which will appear on the top right hand of the corner screen. It can be turned off in the settings. And just to let you guys know, if you do want to go and watch those Cinderella Phenomenon videos, then I do have a whole playlist dedicated to that, which I would highly recommend going to check out, especially because we're going to be starting with Rod. So, you know. Remember, good things come to those who wait until midnight. Ooh, what's going to happen at midnight? Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a princess. She was known as the Ice Princess, named for her frigid heart and unyielding coldness towards others. The princess shunned all who sought to help her. She was scared to go out into the world, so she locked herself up in her palace. Then one day, the Ice Princess became the victim of the infamous fairy tale curse and was forced to go from riches to rags. As the princess struggled to come to terms with her new life, she met a very special man. The two endured much strife, helping each other to overcome various ordeals. In the end, they emerged victorious. The special man thawed the princess's ice-cold heart and dried her dampened spirits. The two vowed to love each other for the rest of time. They lived happily ever after. But what happens after happily ever after? Alrighty. Her Highness Crown Princess Lucette Riella Britton. Jesus, that is one hell of a name. Well, we obviously know who we are. Yumeko Riella Britton. There we go. Is that all? Yeah, okay, I guess that's all. Choose your path. Ah, so we can actually directly choose this time. That's cool. So Fritz, Waltz, Chevalier, Rod, and Claude, aka Karma. Alright, this is actually pretty cool. This is a lot different, so we're not having to choose any kind of romantic paths here, which I guess it would make sense, considering this is a follow-up game. Alright, well, we're going to go ahead and start off with Rod. And once again, if you guys do want me to go back and do Chevalier, Waltz, or Fritz, please do let me know so I can go back and do those for you guys, because again, I would love to do that. But without further ado, let's get it. The Wish, Chapter 1. Is this parfait?
Is this truly what you want, Prince Rod? Remember that a wish is different from a curse. Once it's been cast, it cannot be reversed.
I'm sure. I'm guessing this is us.
I've been pacing in front of the palace gates for what feels like an hour, unable to stand still because I'm so agitated. Where's the messenger? He was supposed to be here 30 minutes ago.
Hey, look at us!
Could it be that Rod has forgotten to write to me? My heart drops.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. So Rod and us are technically step siblings. So while it's not the weirdest thing in the world, it is a little bit strange.
He would not forget, right? It is as this depressing thought surfaces that the messenger approaches the gates. Good morning, Your Highness. I can't help the sigh that escapes my lips. You've arrived later than usual today. Do you have any letters for me?
Indeed.
The messenger rummages through his bag until he pulls out an envelope embellished with intricate golden swirls. He hands it to me with a flourish. I recognize the envelope's design immediately. Rod always used the same stationery. I also have one for His Majesty and another for Princess Emmeline. I can deliver them. But Your Highness, it is my job. I insist. Shall I make it an order? Baffled, the messenger hands the letters to me. Thank you. No, I should be the one thanking you. Have a pleasant day. I turn toward the palace as the messenger departs. Emmeline is in the middle of a lesson, so I shall deliver her letter to her afterwards, but father should be unoccupied. I find the king on his throne, eyes glued to a piece of parchment in his hands. He looks up when I step into the room.
Good morning, Yumeko.
Good morning, father. Father. I only started calling him that about a year ago, when the two of us first began trying to mend our relationship. It was awkward at first, but even slow progress is a step forward. I have a letter for you. Father raises an eyebrow and glances at the envelope in my hands.
Is there any reason that you're delivering this letter?
I was already waiting for the messenger.
Ah, this is the first letter you've received all week, isn't it? Now I understand your enthusiasm.
I turn away, inwardly cursing the heat in my cheeks. Father chuckles.
Ah, to be young and in love.
He accepts the letter from me and pries open the seal. If you do not need me for anything, then...
You are excused, Yumeko.
I curtsy before heading toward the doors. Behind me I can hear the king chuckling. I turn, curious, and am surprised to see him grinning. I wonder what Rod wrote him. I cannot help but wonder as I exit the throne room. In my room I perch myself on the edge of my bed and undo the seal on the envelope. The parchment smells so much like Rod's perfume it makes my heart sink. I miss him so much. I unfold the paper and start reading.
Yumeko, I apologize for my belated response. I've been so busy with preparations for the Queen's birthday that I've barely had a moment to myself these past few weeks. I told you before how ridiculously grand the parties in Brigantia are, right? You know I don't enjoy that kind of decadence, so you can imagine how uncomfortable I was being forced to socialize with Brigantian royals for an entire evening. It was a nightmare.
I cannot help but smile as I imagine the scowl Rod must have been wearing that night.
But I'm happy to say that my hard work has paid off. The Queen was delighted with my dance choreography.
I'm not surprised by the Queen's praise. I know how skilled a dancer Rod is. I set the letter down on my lap with a sigh. Unbidden, I find my mind wandering back to the day Rod was whisked away to Brigantia. It was shortly after Parfait granted Rod's wish. Claude offered him a position as Brigantia's royal dance instructor, and Rod immediately took him up on the offer. He insisted that he wanted to prove himself worthy of my hand. He needed to recraft his reputation from the ground up. I insisted such a thing was unnecessary, but Rod was unwilling to compromise. I turned back to the letter with a sigh.
I hope all is well in the palace, and that M hasn't caused you too much trouble. I miss you, Yumeko, and can't wait to see you again. I promise to write you again. I love you. P.S. Sebi says he misses you too.
The letter ends there, and it's a good thing, for my vision has started to blur with tears. I wipe them away with the back of my hand. He did not even bother to say when he plans next on visiting. Does he even miss me? I clench my fingers into a fist and startle when I notice electricity sparking at my knuckles. I close my eyes and take a few deep breaths. When I open my eyes again, the sparks are gone. My magic is a temperamental thing, which is why I have to consciously tone down my emotions until I've mastered my magic completely. It does not help that my position as a Tenebrarum bearer makes my magic more sensitive to negative emotions. If I'm not careful, the negativity overwhelms my rationality. Parfait said I must possess a strong mind and heart, but that's easier said than done. I fall back on my bed with a groan and will the negative thoughts away. It's been over a year since Rod left for Brigantia, and while he does his best to visit when he can, it's been a full 2 months since I last saw him. Why did he ever make that wish? 2 years ago, our relationship started with secrets. At first, the only people who knew about us were Emmeline and Ophelia, then the king. Even though Rod and I were not related by blood, and had never grown up together, we were still wary of how our relationship must appear to the public. That was why we did not share our relationship with the populace. Still, secrecy was hardly a solution. In the end, we turned to magic. Fairies can grant wishes. How did I not know this? Because wishes can be just as dangerous as curses. Parfait clasps her hands. A long time ago, fairies granted wishes to those who prayed for them. Over time, humans came to depend on those wishes for happiness. She shakes her head. They saw wishes as a convenient magic, but true happiness cannot be obtained by wishing for it. It is something that must be worked towards. And besides, granting so many wishes causes an imbalance between the crystallum. Would that not have been preferable? A life without negativity sounds like a dream. And it shall remain a dream. The Tenebrarum exists for a reason. Remember, there is no light without darkness, Yumeko. Too much happiness can make a human selfish and gullible. Humans would be ill-equipped to recognize threats and dangers in that state. The balance is vital. Thus, a new rule was established. Every fairy was allowed to grant only a single wish. If fairies have been able to grant them this whole time, then why weren't wishes used to counter the curses during Mother's rule? You know that wishes cannot remove their own curses. The same is true of fairies. We cannot nullify a curse with the power of a wish. In addition, wishes have many limitations, the most important being that they cannot be used to harm anyone. Believe me, Princess, we had many humans wishing for the demise of the witches during the Great War.
Couldn't they have just wished for the witch's anger to disappear?
We do not have the power to change a person's heart. Besides that, the Tenebrarum overpowered the Lucies during the war, which made it impossible for fairies to even grant wishes. Wish granting takes a significant amount of energy after all.
Parfait closes her arms and smiles. It is tinged with melancholy.
Let us return to the topic at hand. If your concern is that you're both perceived as family, then, if Prince Rod wishes it, I can make him a commoner.
What? Rod's eyebrows are furrowed. I can tell that he's deep in thought.
Do not tell me you're considering this, Rod.
My curse led to no end of trouble for my family. I blamed myself for the sudden and difficult lifestyle changes that we all had to undergo. But now, after all this time, they've become accustomed to living as royals. I can't just take that away from them. I won't uproot their lives like that again. Not again.
Then we can find another way, one that doesn't require such sacrifices. Rod remains silent. Rod?
I'm sorry, Yumeko.
That's when I found out that Parfait had already spoken to Rod about wishes earlier. He had even consulted Ophelia and Emmeline before asking me to accompany him to the tavern that day. And so he made his wish. This time he wished to become a commoner rather than a prince. However, unlike the curse, his wish did not affect Ophelia and Emmeline. It is only Rod that no one remembers. Even now I am saddened by the fact that he made that decision without considering my feelings. Both of our lives was turned upside down in a heartbeat, and I barely had any time to prepare for it. A knock at the door jolts me from my reverie. Who is it? It's me. May I come in?
You may.
Good morning, Yumeko.
She glances at the open letter on my bed.
I take it that's from Rod?
Indeed. He also sent a letter for you too. It's on the table.
Emmeline's face brightens as she picks up the envelope. Did he say anything about when he plans to return?
She sighs when I shake my head.
He's tight-lipped as always.
Other than me, only Ophelia, Emmeline, the king, and the margin goers recall Rod's true identity. At first, there were doubts about whether Parfait could keep their memories of him intact. In the end, it was only possible because she enlisted the help of her cousin, Cinna.
Cinna, who was set to become the next Lucis bearer, had enough power to fine-tune the perimeters of Rod's wish. That single caveat was Rod's only requirement. Being so close to his family, he refused to make his wish without knowing for certain that they would remember him. I can only imagine how difficult this distance is for you and Ophelia. Emmeline shakes her head. We miss him, but we also know that he's doing something he wants to do. Emmeline plops down on the bed beside me. What he's doing is unnecessary. Rod says that what he's doing is for the both of us, yet he made the decision to go to Brigante on his own. Emmeline gives my hand a gentle squeeze. You know he only went because he felt he needed to prove himself worthy of your hand. Why does that even matter? Ophelia was a baker when father married her. Rod loves you, Yumeko. That was apparent to all of us. It's why we decided to support his decision. We want both of you to be happy. Emmeline pats me on the shoulder, then rises from the bed with a smile. Look at the time. I only meant to come in and check on you, but I've taken up so much of your time. I'll sort myself out now. I don't want you to be late for your magic lessons. Thank you, Emmeline. Of course. I'm always happy to help. Emmeline gives me a quick hug before leaving. I return my attention to Rod's letter. I should probably write back, but I'm still irritated that he did not provide a date for his next visit. How long does he plan on keeping us waiting?
Well, obviously we're gonna write back, right? Like, come on.
If he insists on being so opaque, then I will be honest with him. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. I sit down at my table and begin to compose my letter. Done. Now to have it delivered. I glance at the clock, realizing it's almost time for my magic lessons with Waltz. I take a deep breath and will away my gloomy thoughts before heading to the forest. It's been 3 days since I received Rod's letter, and I'm still agitated by it. Does he not miss me?
Yumeko!
I conjure a shield at the last minute, just barely managing to block Waltz's magic as he comes racing towards me. You were distracted. If this was a real battle, you would have been hurt. Sorry. Waltz sighs as he rubs the back of his neck. Let's call it a day. Okay. If you don't mind my asking, is this about Rod? No. Liar. Waltz just smiles at me innocently when I scowl at him. You're as easy to read as always, Princess. You sure you don't want to talk about it? It's nothing. Doesn't seem like it. It's just, being in a long-distance relationship is difficult. I never wanted this. A dent appears between Waltz's eyebrows. I cut him off before he can respond. Figured I said anything. I apologize for wasting your time today. I'll do better next time. Waltz looks at me worriedly. Would you at least like to stop by the margin before heading back to the palace? I'm sure Lady Parfait and Laura would be glad to see you. And Niece too. It's been a while since you last visited. I think I would like that. It would be a good distraction from my thoughts. Waltz and I walk back to the margin together. Thankfully, because he's a witch so well trusted by Father, there's no need for a night escort today. The quiet companionship is nice. Waltz does not bother me as I mull over my thoughts. Princess! Anise greets me first when I step into the margin. Hello, Anise. It's been a while. It's been weeks. Please make yourself at home while I prepare the margin's special hot chocolate. I look through the doorway into the notably empty tavern area and raise an eyebrow. Do you not have any customers today? We're closed early for a restock. I see. Anise smiles again before disappearing into the kitchen. I take a seat at the settee. Waltz sits across from me. I look around and realize how quiet the margin is. Even though it's only been 2 years since I left this place, I'm still not accustomed to seeing it so empty. It's hard to believe this place was crowded before, but now... The margin is just an ordinary tavern. Anise and Waltz are the only boarders who remained after I started breaking the fairy tale curses. Garland and Jurian have continued to the Order of Caldera and Chevalier to his clinic. Claude, of course, returned to his own kingdom. Though it feels rather empty now, I'm glad to know everyone still visits occasionally. This quiet is so strange. So much has changed since you broke the fairy tale curses. Not all of them. There are still people out there who are cursed. Don't worry. They'll keep coming to you as the word spreads. And I mentioned before that Delora and I might be able to help you find a way to drain the cursed magic entirely from the Tenumbrarum. That would solve the issue entirely. It's at times like this that my thoughts shift to Fritz. I've not seen him for 2 years, not since I became the Tenumbrarum bearer. Myth, who's now the fairy's prisoner, confessed to inflicting the fairy tale curse upon him. When we asked him for Fritz's location, he refused, claiming that it was too late to reverse the curse. Even now, we have no idea of Fritz's whereabouts. Are you thinking about Sir Fitzgerald? I look up in surprise. How did you know? You've been worrying about him ever since you found out that he was cursed. Right now, all we can do is have faith that he'll return one day. And maybe, if we can expel the curse from the crystal entirely, he'll come back without the curse. That truly would be the best case scenario. The room is briefly silent before I look up at Waltz, curious. What about you, Waltz? What's your plans for the future? Well, I've only ever wanted one thing. Now that it's happened, I'll have to think of something else. Oh? That's not important. Just some happiness for a friend. I eye him skeptically. Is there nothing else? Something for you? Right now, I'm just happy focusing on my students. There's a twinkle in Waltz's eye when he mentions them, and I can't help but smile. Waltz has been teaching young witches how to use their magic for about a year now. Apparently he's very good with children, which makes him an excellent tutor. I'm glad I'm no longer his only student. I'm grateful Lady Parfait kept the margin open. It's a great place to teach. I can imagine. Speaking of Parfait, how's her training with Cinna? I've only met Cinna once, and that was when Rod made his wish. I do not know much about him, save for the fact that he's Parfait's cousin, and next in line to the bearer of the Crystallum Lucis. I've only met him once, but can tell he has a strong personality. Seen as very talented, but he can be difficult. And that sounds like him. Right. But if anyone can smooth down frayed edges, it's Parfait. Anise returns with 3 mugs of hot chocolate. We spend some time catching up. Later, after I've drained my mug, I excuse myself to head back to the palace. Unfortunately, because it's so late, I do not have the chance to see either Parfait or Delora. But there's always next time. I say my goodbyes to Anise before heading back to the palace with Waltz as an escort. Later, after Waltz leaves, I'm walking toward my room when a maid appears before me. She bows. Good evening, Your Highness. His Majesty has asked for you in the throne room. Father? What could he want from me at this hour? I will be there shortly. The maid bows again before walking away.
I am tripping over my words so bad.
Father's standing in front of the window when I arrive. His gaze is far away. You asked me, Father.
Ah, there you are.
He gestures for me to stand beside him, then turns his attention back to the window. I follow his gaze to a spectacularly beautiful full moon.
Beautiful night, is it not?
Indeed. Father, why have you called for me?
Yumeko. Oh, shit.
His change in tone is concerning, and I'm tense when he turns towards me.
I've called you here to discuss a special ball I would like to throw at you next month.
It does not take long for a familiar irritation to start burning in my heart. Would this be the suitor's ball by any chance? Yet another ball meant to pressure me into finding a husband. Well, you're well past the traditional marrying age for royalty, but you know the reason why I'm unmarried. I ball my hands into tight fists. I refuse to have this ball, and nothing you do or say will change my mind. Father sighs and rubs his temples. And here I thought I could surprise you. Surprise me? If that is your goal, then this is a most unpleasant surprise. It wouldn't be so unpleasant if you would just let him finish what he has to say. The voice from behind me. It's a voice I've not heard in months. I turn and stare at the man approaching us. He wears a familiar, endearing scowl. I run to him without thinking and throw my arms around his neck.
Hey, it's our boy! He's back!
I let out a breathless laugh when he sets his hand on the small of my back. Hello, Yumeko. I cling to him tightly, hardly believing that he's here, but I can feel his breath against my neck when he speaks, and I know for certain it is no dream. I'm back. I'm sorry for making you wait so long. I bury my face into his chest, relishing his warmth. I can feel tears swelling in my eyes, and, in my happiness, I do not even bother to brush them away. For the first time in months, I feel buoyant. It has been so long since I embraced him. Eventually I push myself away and try to compose myself, but I cannot wipe the smile from my face. What are you doing here? Why did you not tell me you were coming? I turn to Father. What is going on?
You remember that letter you gave me a few days ago? He told me to expect him on this day, but did not tell you because he wanted it to be a surprise.
And the ball? Father laughs.
It will be a celebratory night, not a suitor's ball. Because of your hard work as a tenant bearer, this kingdom has known peace for the first time in a long while, Yumeko. It is only natural we show our appreciation.
I misunderstood. Father, I apologize for jumping to conclusions. Father waves a dismissive hand.
There's no need for apologies. Now, I shall leave you two alone. I can imagine you have a lot of catching up to do.
He smiles at us before taking his leave. When we're finally alone, I turn to Rod with a scowl.
Why do you have that look on your face?
Let me guess. You're mad because I made you wait so long.
Of course I'm mad, no, or stay silent. Damn! Now, see, here's the thing. In the first game, it was fucking so notorious for them to offer these really, vague responses, and then, I would sit there, overthinking everything, and even fuck everything up. Of course I'm mad, or no. I don't know, blah. Of course I'm mad.
I snap at him without meaning to. I haven't seen you in months. Not only that, but you offered no indications as to when you were coming back to Angel in your letters. You told me that you'd keep me appraised of your actions, and yet you've been so distant. Rod shakes his head. You know the reason I haven't been able to keep in touch lately. And Brigantia's celebrations take months to prepare. I barely had any free times on my hands. Can we not fight? This is not how I imagined our reunion would go.
See what I mean, dude? Like, in the first game, a response like that would have totally been, in his direction. Because I don't fucking know, that's just how it works then. But see, now that's not how it is. So now I gotta go back. Come on, bruh. Aw, how do I go back? Come on, man. You can't do this to me, bruh. You can't do this to me. Yes, we're going back. Alright, give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, we understand. Okay. Oh my god, I almost messed up my name. Alright. Yep. Choose our own path. We're choosing Rod. There we go. Alright. Come on, baby. Skip. Okay. Oh, they changed it up. I'll say no.
Liar. He raises an eyebrow. I can read you like an open book, Yumeko, and I can tell that you're mad. If that's the case, then there's no reason for you to probe further, is there? Rod sighs and scratches his head.
Bruh! Oh my god! Is this like how it's gonna go no matter what I choose? Because if it is, I'm gonna be so fucking angry. I'm going back again. I'm not gonna fuck around here. I wanna see. I gotta start saving before these options. I'm out of it, man. I gotta start saving. Alright. Choose your path. Come on. There we go. Alright. We'll say silent.
Yumeko? I do not want to snap at him, not when he's just returned. Rod takes another step forward, and I'm just about to turn him off when I feel his arms around me. I know you're mad I had to leave. I know you're mad I had to leave for so long again. And for that, I apologize. I close my eyes and sigh. The irritation dissipates slowly as I soak in Rod's warmth.
Like, see, what the fuck, dude? Like, what kind of, like... I would have figured saying no would be the right option. Because it's like, oh no, I'm not mad at you. But then he's like, oh no, I know you're mad, let's not fight. But fucking staying silent is supposed to indicate that we're thinking on it. Ah, I fucking hate that shit. That's probably my biggest gripe with these games. Alright.
How's that he's able to cool my anger so quickly? I step away from him, put enough distance between the two of us that I can see his face.
There it is.
Rod runs a hand through his hair and smiles. So much for making this a surprise. I would have preferred you notifying me. I should have realized. I do like surprises. They just have to be the right kind. Rod sighs. I'll like to do better next time then. A soft but comfortable silence ensues after he makes his promise. I take advantage of the moment to study him. It's been only 2 months, yet it feels like he's changed so much since the last I saw him. So stop staring at me like that. Rod turns away, his cheeks dusted pink. But he's still the same awkward Rod. I pause, realizing a certain plush toy is conspicuously missing from his shoulder. Where is Sebi? He's back in my room. You know how much he babbles. I didn't want him to ruin our reunion. At least he can't read your thoughts anymore. That doesn't stop him from trying to do it anyway, and he succeeds most of the time. Rod hefts a hand into his hip. How have you been faring lately? I've been well, all things considered. And the nightmares? Ever since I became the Tenenbaum bearer, my nightmares have become more intense. It's an unfortunate side effect of the negativity gathered in the crystallum. The nightmares are worse whenever I'm under a high level of stress. My nightmares have intensified these past few months on account of my worry for Rod. But he just came back. I didn't want him to worry about such things. Rod frowns when I don't answer. They're getting worse, aren't they? They are, but they're still manageable. Rod closes the distance between us and wraps me in his arms. I'm sorry. I know it's my fault. You're not to blame for this. I'm the Tenenbaum bearer. Having nightmares is just an unfortunate side effect of my job. But I made them worse. That I cannot deny. I gently push Rod back so that I can look at him. That's why you need to make it up to me. I'll do my best. He says the words with such a serious expression that I cannot help but giggle. Why are you laughing at me? I missed your glower. Rod sighs and shakes his head. Do you have to point out every time my face changes? If it embarrasses you, then yes. He clears his throat. Anyway, I will make it up to you. How about we go somewhere together soon to help you relax? I stare at him. The two of us in public? My heart flutters at the thought. We may have been hiding a relationship for so long that we've been unable to go anywhere together in public. So long as we're discreet, I think we can make it work. Where would you like to go?
The town or the forest? Let's go to town.
Don't you think it'll be actually nice? Don't you think it would be nice to actually be around people for a change? Rod looks at me for a long moment before sighing. Fine, we can find a way to be discreet. He glances at the window, at the moon hanging high in the sky. It's late. You should get some sleep. I would escort you back to your room, but the last thing I want is to start unnecessary rumors. It is a shame, but he definitely has a point. If the servants saw him leading me back to my room now, they'd be confused. Rod is, after all, still a visitor in these halls. I must be making a face, because Rod grins as he sets a hand on my shoulder. Rest assured, I'll still be here in the morning. I stare at him in surprise. Wait, are you saying the night? Rod nods, smiling. I'm shocked into silence. Whenever Rod comes to see us, he always stays the night in the margin to avoid unnecessary gossip regarding his visits. I'll explain tomorrow. When I continue staring at him, he rolls his eyes. I'm not a witch, you know. I can't teleport to Brigantia that quickly. I promise I will be here in the morning. I will hold you to your promise then. I return a smile before leaving the throne room. I spend the night pondering Rod's sudden reappearance. He said he wanted to surprise me, but is there another reason he showed up so suddenly?
Alright, we're gonna go ahead and stop it there, actually. Okay. Save. Alright. And then we're gonna head back to the main menu. Yes. Alrighty. So, one of my questions has been answered, which was what exactly happened to the other guys after we have our little happy ever after in the first game. Because obviously, you know, you had people like Rod who were quite literally facing potential death if they didn't, cure their curses, essentially. So I guess with the power of the Tenebrarum, we were able to break those curses ourselves without having to go through that whole process, which is pretty interesting. So again, just the absolute insane amounts of frustration with the game options is still there. It's still very much present. So yeah. First impressions though. Let's see. What are my first impressions of the game? I like it. I mean, it's definitely not really deviating from, in terms of like art style and music. It seems to be still using the same kind of assets. Obviously I haven't gone too much into the story, so I can't exactly say if there is going to be some kind of overarching plot in this, similar to the first game, which I would imagine there would have to be, but we'll see. But as far as specifically Rod goes, I do find it interesting that they kind of decided to acknowledge the whole brother-sister thing. And we're like, oh, well, we'll just wish it into being that he's not her brother anymore. But at the same time, he's still a commoner now, so it is a little... We do have to tread lightly because, you know, we're still a princess. And I imagine that each of these routes are probably going to end in us getting married, hopefully. Which, if that is the case, that'd be pretty pog. But, yeah, that's going to be it for this first episode. Unfortunately, not too much to really acknowledge here. But hopefully as we get further into the story, we'll maybe find a couple more interesting things that are going to happen. But that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like on the video and tell me in the comment section below what you'd like to see me play next. If you enjoyed this video or any other videos or series on my channel, then I highly recommend that you hit the subscribe button and turn on post notifications so you'll be notified when one of those videos comes out. Anyways, that's it from me, and I'll see you in the next one.